Welcome back, guys. So it's 11:42 on the 22nd of August, 2023, obviously. And this morning, the Odin 2 Indiegogo page went live. Now, before we discuss anything else, let's talk about how much of a mess that was. So I set multiple alarms this morning just so I knew I would be up and awake for this launch. I didn't want to miss it, and I wanted to get it as fast as I could because, obviously shipping, they're not going to do all at once. They're going to do like an increment. So I want to get it as fast as possible so that I could get my device as fast as possible. And I was also on the Odin 2 general page on their Discord server. And let me tell you, that page was going absolutely insane. If you follow me on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. Someone said that it's worse than Taylor Swift tickets, and honestly, I might agree, because 8 o'clock comes around. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, my time zone. That's when this thing went live. Indiegogo crashed. I'm not even kidding you. Indiegogo crashed because of how much traffic was on it. AYN sent out an email about 30 minutes or so before the Indiegogo page went live for super fan perks. For like people who signed up, you can get a perk to get it at a super cheap price. Get the Odin 2. And I got that email. And at 8 o'clock, I was clicking that link. It would show up. It would bring you to the Indiegogo page where you could get the Odin 2 for, like, depending on which model you chose, you could get the Odin 2 at like $100 cheaper than retail, or like more over $100 cheaper than retail. Everybody, let me tell you, there were probably hundreds of people active in that chat, like at least 100 people who were like typing and active. And once 8 o'clock rolled around, everybody clicked that link. Everybody was clicking those links. The traffic was insane. The traffic was so insane that the Indiegogo website would not load. You'd click on the website link, it would give you an error. I was on the Indiegogo page before the thing went live. It literally just said it wasn't live yet, and I refreshed the page once 8 o'clock rolled around because the link wasn't working, and it was down. Indiegogo for like a solid 5 minutes was down, and then it came up. I got access to it. I still saw people in the Discord chat. I had Discord open in another window. I saw that other people were having issues getting on there. I got in there, but it wouldn't take my payment method. It crashed. It kept giving me errors. I could not get my Odin 2 Max super fan price thing to work. Indiegogo sends you an email if your contribution fails. I have like 17 emails in my inbox, 30 emails from Indiegogo support telling me my contribution was unsuccessful in that time frame because I was moving so fast to try and get that super early fan price, and I didn't get it because the payment method just wouldn't go through for some reason. And I thought it was because I had paired the Super Dock order with the Odin 2 order. So I stopped trying to buy the Super Dock as well, and I just bought the Odin 2, but that still crashed. And even after, because like eventually I got the super early bird Odin 2 Max. Yeah, super early bird Odin 2 Max. I got the super early bird Odin 2 Max. Eventually I got that, and I went back to try and get the Super Dock, and that was giving me issues. It was a mess. I probably prefer this to them just doing that on their website like they did for the Loki, but it's like, you're not really doing it great. So yeah, it was a mess trying to pre-order this thing, because even if you could get on the website like I could, it would give you errors. I saw so many people talking about getting errors, and then the Superfan Max sold out. I would refresh the Indiegogo page because that's what it tells you to do if there's a contribution error, and you'd see how many people out of like 300 you could get that could get that super fan perk. It kept going up, and I wasn't able to get it in time, which was really annoying. I assume once this Indiegogo's done, they're just gonna list it on their website like they did for the Odin. But right now, the Odin 2, there's a photo for the Odin 2 on the on their website. Currently doesn't have any information on it on there though. But it was a rush. It was a rush to try and get the orders in, because like they did for the Odin and the Loki, depending on how fast you ordered it, what number you were, that's very much in what order they're doing it. My contribution ID for the Odin 2 Max is in the 1600s. So I'm not sure how quickly I'm gonna get it. I hope they can get them out quickly whenever they launch. We'll talk about it in a second, but I don't trust their status, whatever they say. But let's actually go over this device, because I haven't done a video on the Odin 2 exclusively yet. The only mention I've done in an actual video, I think, is in the video back in January when I talked about all the devices I was excited for this year. And we knew nothing about it then. Right now we have pretty much everything. So let's just go down this Indiegogo page and talk about what they say. So the first thing you see is that it's using a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, which should be great for emulation. I mean, obviously it's going to be a big step up from the Snapdragon 856, I think, that they used in the Odin Pro, the Snapdragon 845, yeah. And you can choose between 8, 12, and 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 128, 256, and 512 gigabytes of storage. Those things are like mutually exclusive. So 8 gigabytes of RAM gets you 128 gigabytes of storage, 12 gigabytes of RAM gets you 256 gigabytes of storage, and 16 gigabytes of RAM gets you 512 gigabytes of storage. I don't think you can mix and match. That's a lot of RAM and storage for an Android device. I'm gonna test it out, see like what 16 gigabytes gets you in an Android device. So the Odin Pro that I have right here, my Odin Pro has 8 gigabytes of RAM. So the Odin 2 will have double that. And I think the Odin Pro had more RAM. We can check on their website. I think the Odin Pro had more RAM than the Odin base. Yeah, base Odin had 4 gigabytes of RAM, and I think the Lite did too. It's gonna have an 8,000 milliamp hour battery, which is crazy. The Odin Pro had a 6,600 milliamp hour battery. That's gonna be crazy for battery life, because it's an Android handheld. It's obviously not going to consume as much power as, say, a Windows handheld would, just because of the operating system. But you have 16 gigabytes of RAM. You're going to want a big battery. Once again, not really sure what you're going to be playing on Android that takes advantage of all of that RAM, but we'll figure that out once I get the device. But it's good that they have that big of a battery, because wouldn't you want a big battery in a gaming tablet? It's obviously a step up, which is what we want. So what that'll say is probably just like better battery life than the Odin Pro, but a 1080p display. The Odin and the Loki both have 1080p displays, except for the Loki 0, which is a 720p display. The Odin 2 has a 1080p display, 1920 by 1080 6-inch IPS display, which I think it's the same display as the Loki. They don't seem to have answered that, but it's probably similar. I don't know. It's like a 1080p 6-inch IPS display. It's probably the same one that's in the Loki anyway. Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.3, which is better than the Odin Pro's Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 802.11? What does that even mean? Yeah, 5G. Yeah, what is Wi-Fi 802.11? It's better Wi-Fi. And the old one had Bluetooth 5.0, so 5.3 I assume is going to be better. It's probably just as good. I don't really know how great it's going to be. It uses Android 13, which is better than the Android 9, I think that the Odin Pro uses. Android 10, and Android 10 Yuzu is not available for Android 10. So even though the Odin Pro might be powerful enough to play Switch games through Yuzu, it's not available for that, and I think the Yuzu team has said they have no interest in making it available for that, so we can't really test it out. But this definitely will be able to. It'll be cool to see. They just have this graphic here. So they have a fingerprint module. Why wasn't that on the Loki? Was that not available when you were making the Loki? Like, did you not have the budget or something? I mean, I'm not complaining. I appreciate that it's there. But why now? Big battery life, excellent ergonomics. Now listen, we're not gonna get into any arguments here. I haven't used the device, but you're gonna tell me ergonomics better than the Loki? Because I love the ergonomics on the Loki. Maybe it'll be similar, if not the same. Efficient active cooling, dual color injection, front firing speakers I think is actually really important, because the front firing speakers on the low-key sound great, and they also work way better than the down-firing speakers from the Odin, the original Odin, because that you could kind of cover the speakers with your palms. And on the low-key, especially with how the low-key's set up, there's like no way for that to happen, which is really great. And a new and improved Super Dock. The Super Dock, let's talk about that for a second. The original Super Dock from the Odin is this chunky mess. Look at this thing. Look at how big this is. So it has 3 USB 3.0 ports, 2 looks like USB 3.0 ports in the front, 2 GameCube controller adapters, 2 N64 controller adapters on either side, an HDMI port that only works if you plug in a mini USB in the top, and a big HDMI and an Ethernet in the back. That is unnecessary and pretty cool, but it didn't really work all too well, especially with how the Android was set up and how emulators are set up on Android. It was kind of annoying to use, but I've been using it more for Switch than anything because I don't really touch my Odin that much anymore, especially after the Loki. This looks great though, and I wonder if this will be able to fit the Loki. It looks like it will be able to. This thing is just too big for the Loki. Look, the entire back of the Loki is just too big. I mean, obviously you could just buy a dock from a different company, but like this looks good enough. This one only has 2 USB 3.0 ports and 2 USB 2.0 ports. On the back, there's a power input, an HDMI output, and a gigabit Ethernet port, which I think Ethernet is probably the best thing they could have kept instead of the controller ports, because Ethernet is obviously more important than controller ports. It would have been nice to see them, but ultimately it's unnecessary. Say it has high quality stereo speakers. I mean, I hope so. Okay, color options. This is important. So they have blue, transparent purple, black, cold gray, and white. Now you might get a little mad at me for this, but I went with black. So the main reason why I did is because I wanted to kind of just have the same one as I did on the Odin original. The transparent blue and purple look really cool. For the original Odin, if you got those colors, I don't think you could do LEDs around the like thumbsticks and stuff, and I think that's the same here, because like looking at this image, I don't see any LEDs, but that's the compromise you have with this. ABXY, they switched back to the Nintendo format, which they did for the Odin originally. So I think it kind of makes more sense, because Android, you're gonna be emulating like GameCube, Wii, Nintendo Switch, if it's powerful enough, like old PlayStation, I guess old Xbox. I'm not really sure if that's available. I haven't looked much into it. But on Android, I feel like what people emulate the most is definitely Nintendo games. So it's fine. And I mean, you can change it in the settings anyway, if you really want to. I think it's a safer bet making the Nintendo format on a Android handheld than a PC handheld like they did for the Loki. The Loki, they did the Xbox format, which I think was smart about this Indiegogo. The goal was set at $63,800 US, and almost immediately they hit that goal. Now at 12:11 p.m., I want to do the math, see how long I've been recording. They have 1,700 backers with $672,293 US, which is 1,000% of their goal, according to Indiegogo. It's probably gone up by the time this video gets uploaded. It's definitely gone up, but like, that's kind of crazy. I've seen so much controversy surrounding them because people have been like, oh, you can't trust them. Oh, they're bad at their release dates. Oh, their products probably won't even deliver on what they promise. And then they do. Obviously too late. Like, not too late. I love the Loki Max, but it's like, it's late. You can't deny that. They promised Q4 of 2022 for the Loki Max, for the Loki Max, whatever. And now it is Q3, I think, of 2023. And I just got it like a month ago. So take that December timeline with a grain of salt, but I think this is going to be a success. I mean, obviously it's already financially a success. And if they can do what they did with the original Odin, get this up on their storefront and have people buy it, like just like once the Indiegogo's over, they like buy it and like get it to them in like a pretty short period of time, I think that'll be great and it'll be a big success for them. But let's talk about that December date, because nobody has hopes that they're gonna make it. I tweeted about it. I love talking about my Twitter because nobody follows me on there. I said, love how everyone I see talking about the Odin 2 shipping is saying to take the December estimate with a grain of salt truly shows that none of us have faith in AYN to meet their own deadlines. And that's true. Do you? Remember the original Odin? It's been 2 years since I made my first video on the Odin. That's crazy. Remember the original Odin? They originally said November 2021. I got it in January 2022. And then remember the Loki? They said Q4 2022. I got it in Q3 2023. They better not have the same issues that they had last time this time. I don't know what happened. I don't really want to know. I don't really care. I just know that I have my device now and I love it. So don't mess this up, please, especially with the shipping. Just if you can get it out in December, that's a miracle. I will praise that because no, you can't. Like, they've not hit their deadlines with the last 2 devices and they've been major successes. So I don't have any faith in them to do this one and get this one right. But if they can, by all means, take my money. That would be crazy. I will leave a link to the Odin 2's Indiegogo down below if you guys want to contribute to the campaign. It's not really pre-ordering a device, but there's always a chance with these Indiegogos that they kind of just take your money and run. But I think AYN has established now that they can deliver on devices. They did that with the Odin, and they did that with the Loki. So I think they'd be in a lot of trouble if they just took your money and ran. I will leave a link down below. That link will be a referral link from me where you get a little referral thing. If you're gonna pre-order it, use my code down below. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say that. But yeah, I think this thing, in terms of everything, like its power, its price, looks really promising. The base price is the early bird Odin base is $293 right now, but 68 out of 500 have been claimed, so I don't know how much has been claimed by the time this video comes out. Early bird Odin 2 Pro is available for $370, and early bird Odin 2 Max is $446. So I paid $408 for my Odin 2 Max, and I paid $48 for the Super Dock. It's gonna be $64 once this thing is over. But I think that's a pretty good price. But yeah, I am very excited for this thing. I think this is going to be good. I have enjoyed AYN's past 2 devices, the Loki and the Odin 2. I mean, the Odin Pro. It's not the next device I'm going to be covering from them because I do have my Loki 0 coming in. I don't know when, but it'll come in eventually. This is just a video I wanted to put out talking about the Odin 2 because the Odin was their most successful device, I think. Especially, it's easier to check with Indiegogo because they raised some stupid amount of money on the original Indiegogo. Do they have the price here? Yeah, they raised 4.2 million US dollars from the original Odin campaign. That doesn't even count whatever they've made on the Loki and on the Odin on their storefront. That's a lot of money. Seeing as they've raised over $500,000 already, I wouldn't be surprised if they get that or more once this campaign is over, but we'll have to wait and see. I think this thing is going to be a big success. I'm excited for it. Are you guys excited for it though? Do you think it's going to be a success? Do you think it's going to be a failure? Do you think it's stupid that they're making another Odin? Do you want them to do something else? Do you think this is going to be their last device for a while, or do you think they're going to start flooding the market like a bunch of other companies are? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.